Good afternoon to you. Appreciate your time as always. And I want to start with just your reaction to what we heard earlier, the Small Business Development Minister, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, saying that only 200 out of 1,500 Spaza shops, that's just in Buffalo City, are owned by South Africans. Your response to that statistic?
It is not shocking. Good afternoon to you and your viewers. It is not shocking. It's something that we know it's been happening. And we've been trying to engage government for years to say, as government, come in, number one, support local traders. Number two, assist in enforcement of the laws. You know, there's no way you could allow that an informal sector be overrun by other people, number one. Number two, you can't, as a state, allow that cash must leave the country and job creation is not created locally. So you can't, as a state, you must come in and say, this is wrong, I must take my manufacturing of fake goods and all of that. So the state needs to be held accountable.
When it comes to accountability, Mike, and this is something that I've been wanting to have a conversation with Minister Stella. My team has been trying for weeks now to reach out to her. I'm not successful in my endeavor so far. I want to have a conversation with her because when it comes to accountability that you're touching on now, Mike, we've heard pressure being put on Home Affairs. We've heard pressure being put on the Border Management Authority to come out and take responsibility for some of what we've seen in the country. Are we seeing the same kind of pressure being put on the minister's portfolio here? Have they done enough to make sure that we are seeing people operating in this industry comply with the laws of the country, Mike?
So, first of all, you're not the only person who's struggling to get a hold of the minister. We, over a period of a year, we've been trying to get hold of the minister, and we can't get hold of her. And we wanted to tell her that we are ready to do a triple P. So, as local skills that we have, people have run supermarkets. There's black people that are busy running big supermarkets and wholesalers that are wanting to work with us. So as we can roll out a plan, and we've got support, we've got skills. All I want is for the minister to give us an audience. She can say yes or no, but she refuses to give us an audience. So good luck with that. When it comes to issue of compliance, I just want to clarify the difference between a Spaza shop and a shop. A Spaza shop is an entity that is based in the informal sector and is meant for survival purposes. In other words, if I am struggling or I've just lost my job, I need to survive in my own yard. I don't have to comply with all of this business licensing, I start selling. And the government must come and say, listen, we are seeing that you are doing something. Here is a permit. Here is a health certificate. What else can we do to support you? Now, a Spaza shop is a survival entity. It's not a shop. Now, anybody who's renting from a private or a business site, those must be regulated. Those must make sure that they comply with all the business licensing and all of that. The only regulation a Spaza shop needs is a registration with the municipality, like any other hawker in the street or any other somebody who sells quarter shops. All they need to know is that this person has got a health certificate, he's got a fire certificate, and he complies in those rules. But this thing of a business license is meant for formal shops. Those are formal entities. And most of the shops that are owned by foreign nationals are supposed to be formal shops and are supposed to be paying tax. And landlords are supposed to be paying tax on the rentals that they collect.
I'm wondering, Mike, some of the foreigners owning Spaza shops, when I have conversations with them, they have complaints that they are struggling to comply because they're not getting the help with registration. I'm wondering, given you, the fact that you're saying, for instance, as Black Business Unity, you're struggling to get hold of Minister Stella Ndabeni as well. I'm wondering whether, even as South African shop owners, South African businesses, you're struggling to get the help from government that you need, not only to make sure that you comply as you've described now, but for instance, to get funding so that you're able to develop businesses.
So they talk about funding. They say we've got 500 million, and then they create red tape. They say if you want the 500 million, go and jump there. If you jump there, maybe we'll consider you. And a lot of people have failed to meet their requirements because the standards are just too low, too high. So the red tape makes government support a scam. It makes it a fake thing. It doesn't make it to be real. So that's where the problem is. When it comes to foreign nationals, the laws of the country are very clear. If you come in as an investor, that's what you have to do. If you are an asylum seeker, you have to work and study. That does not give you the right to open up shops and open up a chain of shops and wholesalers and do manufacturing. No, yours is to work, and you have to be employed by South Africans, or you have to self-employ like a hawker or a special shop that you own yourself to survive, but not these chain stores that are owned by syndicates. This is what is happening. So we look at these stores, you think it's owned by the person that is operating there. No, it's a chain, it's a syndicate. In fact, I have a case that I've lodged with Competition Commission about 6 years ago, and the case is sitting at tribunal because I do not have the money to carry it on. But the investigation did confirm that there is syndicates that are operating within the township space, and those shops are not owned by the operators.
Mike, I must tell you, my concern is that there's conversations happening around the industry, around township businesses, but it seems to be happening in silos, because when you hear government reporting, when they report, for instance, on the support fund, we heard that briefing the other day, they're saying one thing, then we have representatives of the industry like yourself coming and you say another thing, saying that there's bureaucracy that's really hampering black businesses in townships. It seems that there's conversations happening around or past each other, which is why my request remains for Minister Ndabeni to come and have a conversation. I would like to have the conversation not just with her, but with some business representatives present, so that we can get on the same page. How do we get government, its support, organizations like yourself, the business on the ground, on the same page and moving forward, so that we can get to a point, Mike, where we see South African-owned businesses in townships flourish and take hold of the opportunities that government says is available?
So what we're beginning to suspect is the government doesn't care. So, for example, I know of an organization called SASTA, which has got a huge database of informal sectors that government promised to give them support of 5 million. Now, this is how the Department of Small Business was developed. That time I was still with NAFCOC. We said we need an entity that's going to focus on development of small and micro, which is your informal sector. That department is failing its own mandate, because if you're not creating jobs, you're not strengthening the informal sector, making sure that jobs are created there, any developing country needs to protect the informal sector, because it's where a lot of people operate as a survival. So the state doesn't show that it's really interested. I think they are playing a game, they're playing a propaganda. When kids died, they introduced 500 million just to keep us happy. You know, it's like when you're dangling a carrot in front of a horse. That is their methodology.
Well, I appreciate your time, Mike, and hopefully we can have a conversation again soon as we continue to focus on township businesses and its development. That was Mike.
Please get us the minister.
Business unity, and my invitation remains. I'll keep trying to get my teams to reach out to Minister Ndabeni so that we can have this conversation. Very concerning, eh? You heard in the headlines a little bit earlier the information that the minister was saying. That's the Minister of Small Business Development, Minister Stella Ndabeni, saying that only 200 out of 1,500 Spaza shops in Buffalo City are owned by South Africans. On the other hand, you have South African businesses saying that they're struggling to reach and they're struggling to access some of the opportunities that government has made available. So let's have that conversation. Misinformation and unverified claims could be fueling anger toward immigrants, raising serious concerns. Some groups demand stricter immigration enforcement.